Good afternoon, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I am working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video lecture today, we shall be talking about email writing. We talked about writing in detail. We also talked about writing as a language skill. And there I talked about the benefits of writing, what are the characteristic features of writing, what are the different tips which we should keep in our mind before we write anything. And I also talked about writing as a medium of communication. So writing has a number of purposes, a number of functions, a number of roles to play. It is one of the mediums of communication, one of the medium of transforming ideas, sharing ideas, conveying ideas, information or other thing with the people. So there is one mode of writing which is our today's topic of discussion, that is email writing. Email writing is also a means of communication. We communicate with the help of emails. We communicate with the help of different forms of writing, like letters, messages, short messages. We have member. We have different types of. We have telegram. We have different types of these different forms by which we communicate with the help of writing. Now, today the topic for the discussion today is email writing. Let's discover what email writing is. How is it useful? What is the utility or what is the use of email writing in the modern times, in the contemporary times? Let's discover. Let's go first with the meaning or with the definition of email writing. This electronic mail, email, it's named as E means electronic. Electronic mail is one of the most prominent uses of networked communication technology. One of the most prominent uses of networked communication technology is email. The communication which is done by the technology. So there we find email is having the prominent role. And this electronic mail is known as email, and this is one of the most widely used forms of communication. In current times, in contemporary times, the most used form of communication is email. Electronic mail is most widely used form of communication nowadays. You go to any office, you go to any department, you go to any field, you will see people are heavily relying on emails. People are by the large conversing with the help of emails. So email is commonly being used in every office nowadays for communication. This electronic mail, email, it has a lot of advantages over other forms of communication. There are other forms of communication. As I told you, we have verbal communication, where we have the communication by the word of mouth. At the same time, we have this written communication, which is itself part of verbal communication. Verbal communication has two domains. One is oral communication, second is written communication. So there are different forms of communication, but this email writing, it has more prominence than others. We will see in this video lecture what are the things which makes this email more special than the other forms of communication. So it's easy to use. Email is easy to use. You need not to have a paper, pen. You need not to write lengthier letters which contain a lot of information. So it's very easier to use. It's a single click away from you. It's free of charge. There is no charge for sending emails. If you have computer and if you have internet, no charge, no extra charge is required. It's faster than other forms of communication, and it delivers information in a digital format. Obviously, we are sending it through online, we are sending it with the help of computer, with the help of cell phones, with the help of any electronic device. So it delivers information in a digital format with suitable encoding methods, and email can be used to send any kind of computer file. It can be used to send any kind of computer file. If you write a letter, it requires a lot of energy to encode different files, different data. But this email, electronic mail, it is having this ability. You can compress the length of the files into the smallest of the files. So different things you can send, which include pictures, sounds you can send, programs you can send, or movies you can send with the help of emails. Photographs you can send with the help of emails. So it's not only you can find the written text only. You can find symbols, you can find videos, you can send symbols, you can send videos, pictures, audios. It's not only the written content, letters or words or sentences only you can send. No, it's wider in its scope. Email is it's one of the earliest and most basic messaging resources on internet. If I am correct, it started in 1956, most probably. So one of the earliest basic messaging resources on the internet. Let's go with the features of email. So I talked about the meaning of email. I talked about the definition of email. Let's go with the features. What's its feature? Feature number one, it's faster and more secure. This mode of communication is heavily relied by the people because of its security which is provided to its users. So number one, it's faster. It requires some microseconds to reach an email to its destination, whether the destiny is thousands of kilometers away from the sender. So it requires few microseconds, or it requires a second to reach to its destination. You need not now to go to post office to post a letter. You need not to just travel from one place to another place to find a post office anywhere so that you can post a letter. No, you have a laptop, you have a computer, you have a desktop, you have a phone, you can send an email within a very shortest duration of time. So it is faster and it is more secure. There is no chance that your records can be hacked or can be stolen from your source. So it's more secure. So no chance of this theft is there to your data, whatever you are sending, whatever you are receiving. And it requires less physical effort to edit and send a letter of communication. It doesn't require large effort. It requires less efforts. You don't have to toil hard. You don't have to just find a find a separate room so that you can draft a letter. So when you are writing an email, you can type it anywhere. So it requires less efforts. Then once the hardware, software and internet connection are in place, email on the internet is free, even if messages is to be sent to the other side of the world. As I told you, if you have the hardware, software, you have hardware means you have desktop, you have computer, you have laptop, you have cell phone. If you have the software, that is your internet. If you have internet, you have hardware. If they are at one place, you have good internet connection and you have hardware and software, you can easily send a message without any charge, even if the message is to be sent to the people who live in other continents, who live in other countries, who live very far from you. No extra charges. We are making phone calls. When we are making an ISD call, from one country to another country. So we are having extra charges for the call as compared to the STD charges, as compared to the charges which are applicable within a country or within a state. So here, it's not that case. It's free. Wherever you want to send an email, to which corner of the world you want to communicate with the help of email, you can communicate without any charge. You need only your hardware, software, and internet connection. Then, unlike communication by telephone, email does not require the attention of both parties at the same time. If we are having some other communication like telephonic communication, or if we are having some other oral communication, if it is face-to-face communication, if it is telephonic communication, so we require the attention of both the parties. Right now I am communicating to you, so I require your attention and you require my attention, and we both the parties have to be attentive to each other. Then only we can understand and we can be understood. We cannot be understood if we do not share, or if we are not attentive. And we cannot be understood if we do not make people to be attentive. So this email writing, it doesn't require at the same place, it doesn't require the attention of both the parties. Right now, if I am sending an email to any person, this email requires my attention. But at the same time, the person may be doing some other work. He or she may be at office. He or she may be taking lunch or dinner. But the time when he or she goes through my email, at that time his or her attention is required in order to decode my message. So this email, unlike other conversations like telephonic conversation, face-to-face conversation, if we are conversing through video conferencing or some other platform, it requires the attention of both the parties simultaneously. But that's not the case with email. Email writing or sending an email or to communicate with the help of an email doesn't require the attention of both the parties at the same time. So here we have this liberty. We can do some other work and we can revive or we can go through the email at some other junction of time. So now the question is need of email. What is the need of email? Why do we need emails? Why? So as I told you, it has become an important and integral part for the people who are living away, or who have someone far away. See, this email is needed because people communicate with the help of emails. It is especially required, no doubt, it's required in the business circles, it's being circulated in the offices, it's being used for the official purposes, but it's also being used by the people who want to communicate with their loved ones who are living very far from them. Or we can say it is being required to communicate with the people who are not available with us, who are away from us. They may be our friends, they may be our relatives, they may be our neighbors, or they may be other people. So we require email, we need email in order to communicate with the people who are not available with us. And for different persons, the reasons are different. Different reasons are there. I may be using email to communicate with my parents, to communicate with my family members. You may be using email to communicate with your boss, with your teachers, with your relatives. Or some other person may be using email only for official purposes. So it varies in its use. Different people have different reasons, or different people need it for different reasons. In general, the reasons are, what are the reasons? Number one, an email ensures faster, easier delivery of messages as long as the email address is correct. We need it because it is faster, it is easier to use email in order to deliver our message. But the condition is one, the email address must be correct. If we are using wrong email address, the message will reach nowhere. It will reach to no one. So what is the most required where we need to keep attention? That is the email address. To whom we want to contact, we need his or her correct email address. If we have the correct email address, it is then faster and easier to communicate with the required person or persons. It provides time-stamped proof of an interaction. Also, many email services such as Gmail, it collates the conversation on the same subject into single threads. So there are different advantages. We need it because you want to travel back, you want to check your past conversations which you have done through email, for example 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years back. So when you are going with those emails, you will see there is a timestamp proof is there. So it will give you the date, it will give you the time also. Not only the hour at which you communicated, like if you communicated at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m., it's not only 10 a.m. It will give the details of the minutes and seconds as well, the date as well, which day it was. So you have here an advantage to look upon the time when you talked to a particular person, when you sent an email to a particular office, when you sent an email to a particular organization. So this is the advantage of email. That's why we need email. It's more secure and inexpensive compared to other modes of communication. More secure and it's more secure and inexpensive. If you want to send a normal SMS, short message service from your cell phone, so you require not only data, you require the recharge. Your phone or your cell phone, if you are using that, must be recharged first. Then only you can avail this facility of sending messages. But this emails, it does not require anything like that. No charges are required. You only must have internet connection and a hardware with you. You can easily send message without any expenses. It's secure and inexpensive. That's why we require it. That's why we need it. It's easy to archive for future recall. Most of the email services provide search facility through emails. We require emails because they are easily to find. And there are most of these email service providers or email services, they provide the search facility. Before 5 years, you sent an email to a person. Now you want to go back to that email. You do not have to search out. You do not have to travel 6 years back. What you have to do, you have to only search and you will reach 6 years back. So there is only a single click, search and type the name of that person. You can easily get the email, or type the subject of that email. You can easily get that email. So these are the reasons why we need emails. It can be edited and rephrased as much as it is desired before sending to recipients. There are chances it can be edited. It can be rephrased. If you want to edit your email, you want to rephrase it, before you send it, you can do that. That's not the case with other communication. Once you posted a letter, you cannot call the postman. There is no there is no procedure like this. Now you want a letter back and you want to edit it. So this is the facility with the email writing. There are the chances of editing and rephrasing. And it is easy to send the same piece of information to several people simultaneously. Email has one more advantage. It's needed for one more benefit. You can send an email simultaneously to a lot of people. There are such options. If you want to send any circulation of memo, you want to send any agenda, you want to send any minutes of meeting, or you want to send any educational material, you want to send any visiting card or invitation card, or you want to send any important timing of any event. So you can send this information to a number of people at the same time. It will require the same 1 second or 2 seconds to reach to a number of people simultaneously at the same time. So these are the reasons which show us the need of email writing. Why do we need emails? Let's go with the style of email. When we talk about the style of email, we need email address, we need subject, we need salutation and closing. We have to look upon the font, we have to take care of the paragraph spacing, and there is one more thing that we call as signature. These are the things which include in email style, and these are the things which are very important to write an email. And when we talk about email content, the message which we want to share, these are the things which we require for that. Number one is writing style. Your writing style, it has the greatest say when it comes to draft an email. Tone and punctuation, enumerations and attachments. These four things they are required when it comes to content. We need to take care of these different areas in order to make our email an effective email, and in order to meet our expectations, to be understood by the receiver, by the person who reads this email. Now let's talk about the important components of an email writing. What are the important components of email writing? Number one is subject line. What is subject line? It's a line which is like a newspaper headline, and these lines they convey the main points. These lines convey the main points of your email or the idea that you want the reader to take away from your email. Subject line is like a newspaper headline. You all must have read newspapers. Unfortunately, nowadays people are not reading newspapers because this electronic media, or I can say this technology, mobile phones, they have replaced these newspapers. Newspaper, it's a good habit to read newspapers early in the morning. Not early in the morning, but whenever you get time, it's better to read newspapers because you are improving your reading habit. No doubt you are getting information about the current day happenings, about each and everything, but at the same time, it improves your reading habit. And this is the need of hour, because there are a lot of students nowadays, lot of people who belong to academics or who belong to academia. They are not good readers nowadays because they do not read anything. So internet, cell phones, it has snatched books from us. It has snatched newspapers from us. Nowadays, we are only just typing the exact information, and we are getting that information in rest of the sentences. So that's not the good way to read. That's not the good way to do justice with the reading. It's better to read newspapers. So newspaper headline, it always remains catchy. It catches the attention of the reader, and it compels the reader to read the whole news blog, whole news column because of its headline. So one means allude to read that news, to read the news because of the catchy and attractive news headline. So subject is subject line. Every subject of email must be like a news headline. It should catch the attention of the reader, and it should compel reader to read the whole email. So this headline, the subject line, it should contain the main points of your email or the idea for which you are writing the email. It should contain that. So therefore, it is essential to be specific as possible. So one should be particular. One should be specific. One should not give extra details in the subject. So your reader should reads you. Your reader reads you because of your subject. He or she checks your email because of your subject. Maximum of the emails are rejected because of faulty subjects. We are not writing the exact subject. So then it's greetings. Use some common greetings and don't just start with your text. When we are writing an email, it's better to start with the greeting. It's not good to just start the email with the text. Rather, we should start the email with the greeting. Like we have, Dear Mr. Mohan, or Respected Sir, Madam. Or we can also write dear Sir. Dear is also a respected term. But unfortunately, at number of places, people are not comfortable with the dear, but dear is a respected term. So, and we can write the greetings without the use of comma at the end. There is no need to put comma at the end of greetings as we were doing earlier. We were putting comma after the greeting. So now there is no need to put comma after the greetings. We can write like this, Dear Mohan. This is greeting number 1. Or if you are writing to some sir, to any person, Honorable Sir. This is greeting number 2. So this was about greeting. So greeting is essential. We should never start our texts. We should never start our email without the using of these greetings. Greetings are essential for every email. Then ending. How should we end an email? So we should end an email in a polite way. Common endings are like yours sincerely. It's a polite ending. Best regards, polite ending. Best wishes, polite ending. Or regards, polite ending. So we should always end an email with a polite ending. Because if we do not end an email with a polite ending, that's against the ethics of email writing. So our reader may get the idea that the person is not formal. The person is not courteous. The person is not well mannered. So it is in the rules of email writing that all the endings, they must be polite in tone. Then names. Because when we are writing an email, we must write our name at the end of the email. So it is important to include our name in the email. And it is most annoying that many people are sending the emails without their names. It's not like you are sending me a message and I have your phone number, which is stored in my phone storage. So there I can get, Mr. This has sent me a message. You may be my friend, close friend. Your contact number may be in my list. But you can be known by the name when you are sending me an email. Because people are using different names for email addresses. If your name is Ravi, it's not mandatory when you are making or when you are drafting your email address that you will always write Ravi. You can write something else. You can write raju@gmail.com. That Raju doesn't make Ravi a Raju. That name Raju does not snatch your identity. But you have the liberty, you can write anything. So you are not known by your email address at times. You are known by your name. So it is better to write the name like this. Kind regards, Vimal Singh, Human Resource Manager. So designation one has to, when one is writing an official email, so one has to write the designation as well. Then the next important component for writing an email is use simple language. It's better to use simple language. It's always better to use simple language because the purpose of writing an email may be to convey some idea, some information, some ideology. So a sender may never want that his message should be faulty. A sender may never want this, that his or her receiver may not get him exactly as what he wants to say or convey. Never ever a sender may expect this thing. But always a sender expects this thing, that he or she should be understood in the same way as he or she has encoded his or her message. This every sender wants this. So for that, one has to use simple language. So when writing is formal, if it contains irrelevant technical language, it becomes difficult for a layman to understand. When we are writing any email and if we are using some technical terms there, a layman or a common man cannot understand that, because that is a message which is encoded with the technical language, and everybody is not aware with the technical language. Then font matters. Font. So there is different fonts we are using for email writing. Fonts that are too small, too large, makes a reader not to read the email as well. If your font size is too small and if your font size is too large, so it may be irritating for the readers. If it is very small, one has to be very attentive. One has to one has to be very closer to the system, so that may affect the eyesight. And if it is too large, so one has to go through a longer text. That again is a boring task to go with. So it is always better to make the reasonable use of font. So, and beware of your fonts. Don't bold the entire email. Use easy to read fonts and use a standard size. So we should not see the common fonts which we are using like Times New Roman, Arial is there. But there are different fonts where the letters, they do not resemble like the real letters. Where the letters are coming with the shades, with different shapes. So it is always better to use reasonable fonts and use a standard size, like we use 12. Go with the reasonable line space. It's better to go with 1.5 line space or 2, but not more than 2, like 3, 4, 5. That would not be good for your email. Your reader may find it faulty to read your emails. Closing remarks. And we should always put closing remarks. Before you end your email, it's polite to thank your reader as well as add some courteous closing remarks. As I told you about the greeting, it's always required to start the letter with the greetings. We should not go directly with the text without the salutation, without greetings. So if we start without greetings, that will give a negative impression. Same is the case, it's always better, it's in the ethics of email writing to include closing remarks. And these closing remarks, they must be polite. And your reader should feel that you are a courteous person, that you have a courteous corner in your heart for your reader. So this he or she should know by the help of your closing, by the help of with the usage of your courteous remarks at the end. So there are some examples like thank you for your patience and cooperation. It's better if we end an email like this. It gives a sense of gratitude to the receiver. He or she may feel, yes, this person is very courteous, is thankful to me. So then, next is thank you for your consideration. So again, a very courteous ending. Then, one more way is this: if you have any question or concern, don't hesitate to let me know. This is again, we are giving a space to our reader that you are always welcome. You are not an unwanted person. Your presence is important to me. So we tell him or her, don't hesitate to let me know. Means you can send me feedback. If you want any further clarification, you can ask me for that. Then I look forward to hearing from you. So these are the different ways of closing remarks. These are the different sentences which we can use in order to close an email. These are the opening phrases and these are closing remarks. I want you to just listen or read them carefully. When we are writing an email, it is better to open an email or start an email like this: in reply to your letter. For example, you have received a letter for some job interview. or for any other assignment. Now you are writing an email, so you can write like this: in reply to your letter or in reply to your email. So this is how we start to write an email. Because see, email is it's a short form of communication. There is a standard rule. The words should not exceed most probably more than 80 words. No doubt we are writing long emails, lengthy emails, but word limit should be minimum. Because emails are meant for smaller information. We should not give extra details in the emails. So it's better to start with this: in reply to your letter. Then, or we can write, thank you for your letter of May 14 concerning any issue. Then you will start your point. Then, thanks for your email. If you are writing any email, you are writing a reply to any email, you can start with thanks for your email which you sent me on this date regarding this. Then, following our telephonic conversation. Following our telephonic conversation. So if you had a telephonic conversation with someone, now you are writing an email to that person, you can write like this: following our telephonic conversation, now I am telling this or that. Closing phrases are: please contact me again if you need any information. These are courteous remarks, polite remarks. If I can be of any further assistance, please do contact me. If you need me, my help for the further assistance, you can contact me. By these things, you make your reader feel that you are special to me. Let me know if you need anything else. Then I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing from you. So these all are the closing phrases which are courteous remarks. We should always close our emails with such type of remarks, and we should always open our emails with such type of remarks. It gives a good impression to your listener, to your reader. Now let's go to the tips for writing more effective emails. There are some tips if you want to write an effective email. Number one is, think about your message before you write. We should think about our message before we write. Before we write an email, it's better to think about it. We should not send our emails in haste. We should not make haste. We should first decide the purpose of our email and what outcome we expect from our communication. So one should write an email with a particular purpose. It's not like you are writing anything randomly. You are writing without purpose. You are writing without any idea in your mind. No, if we write emails like that, the result will be this: we will be having faulty communication with our receivers. We will not be able to convey the exact ideas to the people to whom we want to talk. So what we should do, we should first relax. We should not write in the haste. Then we should ponder, or we should think upon the purpose for which we are writing an email, and then we should construct our emails which are surrounding that to that purpose only. So this is the best way to write an email. Then the second tip for writing an effective email is, reflect on the tone of your message. We need to just look, or we need to just think about the tone of our message. It's not only oral communication which contains a tone. Rather, writing contains a tone. There is writing. We have formal, informal writing. We have the writing where this courteous tone is applied. We have the writing which contains very arrogant tone. I will speak two sentences to you. Like, please give me your pen. Please give me your pen. It's a request. It's a very formal way to ask for a pen, to ask for help. Now the other sentence is this: hey, look at me and give me your pen. Look at me and give me your pen. Or the next sentence is like this: are you listening to me? Give me your pen. So these two sentences, they have different meaning. One is a command. It's a command. Give me your pen. Second is a request. So a tone is there, a tone of command in one sentence and a tone of request in another sentence. So when we are communicating with the help of email, our words are not supported by gestures. See, right now I'm talking to you, I'm using my body gestures. I'm using different postures. I'm communicating through non-verbal signals. But when I write an email to you, there is not support of any gesture, any body signal. So my language should be accurate. It should contain that voice, that polite voice, polite tone. It should contain these voice inflections. Because right now I'm talking to you, it is a face-to-face communication. I'm using gestures, voice inflections, and other cues. But when I write a letter to you or write an email to you, I cannot show you that rising tone and falling tone. So my language, a sender of an email should think about the tone of his or her email or his or her message, which he wants us to encode in an email. Then strive for clarity, conciseness in your writing. It's always better to be clear and concise rather than making digressions with long details, with long illustrations, with a number of examples. It's always better to be short, be brief, be concise, because miscommunication, it occurs if an email is unclear, unorganized, and it is too long and complex. So there are chances, if our email is not clear, if it is not concise, there are chances that faulty messages may be received by the receiver. When our email is too long, it's not organized, it's not well structured, it's not clear, there is not clarity, there are chances that people or the receiver may feel that this email is not important to read. So miscommunication may occur. Then use paragraphs. So we should use paragraphs. When we should separate our thoughts with the help of paragraphs. We should separate our thoughts with the help of paragraphs. And when we are making these paragraphs, we should leave some space so that the reader can understand, yes, there is the change of idea. And when we are having unrelated thoughts, unrelated points we want to convey, so they should be divided in paragraphs. And finally, state the desired outcome at the end of your message. You are sharing different ideas in different paragraphs, but all these ideas may be supporting a single idea, a single theme, a single subject, a single message which you want to convey. So it is better if you are dividing different ideas in different paragraphs, convey your message in the last paragraph. So that when the reader concludes your email, he or she may conclude it with the message which you want to convey to him or her. Then format your message. So we need to format our message. That is so that it's easy to read. Use white space to visually separate paragraphs into separate blocks of text. What is the format? How can we format our message? Or how can we format the email? One thing is this: we should use space, white space, to visually separate paragraphs. There should be a white space in between paragraphs, so that the reader can understand, yes, there is the para is changed, paragraph changes there. And a reader can easily understand the message, can easily understand that it is the place where a thought ends and new thought begins. How can we format our emails? bullet important details so that they are easy to pick out. We should bullet important details. We should use these bullets to write the important points. What will happen? The reader can easily pick those points when they are written in bullets. And use boldface type or capital letters to highlight critical information, such as important dates. Now, if you are conveying any important information in your email, it's better to use boldface type. It is better to bold that portion which contains the information. And it's better to capitalize the letters, to write in capitals the important information, but we should not write our entire message in capital letters or boldface. If we write the entire message in capital letters, it makes no sense to the reader. If we boldface the whole this email, again it makes no sense before the reader. Then proofread. Proofreading is also important. What's proofreading? So when we are sending our messages to the people, it's better to proofread our messages. It's better to proofread our emails. By message, I mean the content of the email. I don't mean message writing. I mean content of the email. So it is better to reread the message, reread the content before we send it. And we should use proper grammar, spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. It's mandatory to use proper grammar, proper spelling, proper capitalization, and proper punctuation. Without this, our email is a faulty email. Without this, our email cannot survive, or it cannot work for us regarding that purpose for which we are using it. So it's better to proofread our message, proofread the content. When we do the proofreading, we are conveying the exact and the correct message to the listener or to the receiver. Then avoid contractions and abbreviations. We should not use in the contractions, and we should not go with the abbreviations. Do not use contracted forms like don't or can't. It's better to avoid contractions because you do not know the mindset of your reader. Your reader may not be well at contracted forms, at contractions. So he or she may not understand you clearly. Now, I took the example of two simple contractions, don't and can't. We know everybody knows it. But there are many contractions which many people may not be knowing. So it is always better to avoid contractions when we are writing an email. Then, do not use abbreviations such as info for information and ASAP for as soon as possible. No, we should not use this WhatsApp language, the language which we are using for the communication on the social media applications. So no, we should not use this language because email, it is a formal way of communication. As I told you, your reader may not understand ASAP. I was not also aware with ASAP. I searched it, then I got this information that it's as soon as possible. There are different short forms, abbreviations which people nowadays are using for the communication on different social platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Messenger, etc. I'm not endorsing anything here. I'm just quoting these things in order to give you an example. I'm not endorsing anything. So we should refrain ourselves from using contractions and abbreviations. Contractions and abbreviations may leave our emails in fault. People may not understand us. People may count our emails as faulty emails if we use contractions and abbreviations. And there is one thing in every email, CC and BCC. Carbon copy and blind carbon copy. What is carbon copy? Carbon copy is simply copying individuals on an email. And it's very good. And this is the advantage of email writing, which I told you earlier. We can simultaneously send an email to a number of people by copying them, by sending a carbon copy to other people. So this is an advantage. And this can help a sender to communicate with a number of receivers simultaneously at the same time. There is no need. For example, if we have to post a letter, we have to write a letter to 10 people or 100 people. Obviously, 100 people may be living at 100 different destinations. So that means we have to write 100 different letters and we have to post them one by one. Or we have to post them to the 100 different residences. But that's not the case with the email. There is an option, carbon copy. We can send the same copy to a number of receivers. Then we have blind copying emails, blind copying. What is this blind copying? By blind carbon copy or by blind copying, we can again send the email to a number of people. But there is one thing, the only recipient address that will be visible to all recipients is the only in the to field. When we are writing an email, we have at the top comes the address of the sender, then is the address of receiver. It's always, you will see to is there, and we are writing the address in the to field of the receiver, like this. Here we are writing, for example, abc@gmail.com. So in carbon copy, in CC, every person who receives this email can see the email addresses of all the people who are including in that email. But when we do the blind copying, so every person can see only one email address, that is in the to field. Rest of the email addresses will not be visible to anybody. So this is again a good feature, a good advantage of email writing. You want to send an email to people who live at different places, and you don't want to just expose their email address to others. So you can go with blind carbon copy. There, everybody's email address is not at risk, rather is safe. And example, now let's see what are the examples of common mistakes. People are committing some common mistakes, like too personal in content. Sometimes when we are writing emails, we become very personal. We are including our emails are subjective in nature. It should be objective. Too emotional. We are just encoding some emotional content. So that mars, that bruises the email. Then too crowded. Our emails are crowded. We write a lot of sentences. It's not essay writing. It's not letter writing. It's an email. It's a short form of communication. Make it very small. Make it as small as you can, but not longer or not long or longer. Too informal. And sometimes we are writing informal emails. We are not following the proper standard. We are not following the heading. We are not following the rules for the body. We are not looking upon the endings. Sometimes we do not bother about those things. Sometimes we do not write the name at the end. And when we write emails like that, so they are always annoying to read. So these emails can be easily rejected by the people. See, there is an example of subject. This is bad example. This is good example. A meeting has to be held. Now the subject is only meeting. What is this meeting? Meeting may be called by different people. And there is one more subject, pass process meeting, 10 a.m. Feb 25, 2014. So by this we come to know what is the meeting and when is the meeting and what is the date of the meeting. This is the good example of subject. And bad example and good example of starting. See, close your message with regards or yours sincerely. There is one bad example. See, Emma, I need your report by 5 p.m. today or I will miss my deadline. Harry. This is a closing of an email. Now see another which is good example. It is hi Emma. It's not only Emma. It's hi Emma. Thanks for all your hard work on that report. Could you please get your version over to me by 5 p.m. so I don't miss my deadline? Now see here it seems it's a courteous one. It's a polite one. And every receiver will try to respond to this email rather than this one because this one is compelling. This one invites your attention. This one is not inviting your attention. This one is faulty. Or this one is simply as I wrote it, it's a bad example. This is all about email writing. I hope you all have understood it well. So I would like to stop here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being very patient. Goodbye. Take care. Thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.